Call to order the December the 5th meeting of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners. Our invocation today will be by Commissioner Ray Nail and our Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Wayne Acon. Let us pray.
Dear Lord, we're thankful again that we can come together as a county to conduct the business of this county in your shadow and guidance this morning. Father, we're thankful for a lot of things of living in this country, but today we are most grateful for the deliverance from the hurricane and flood that we just experienced in this county, the dedication of our emergency services, our fire departments, our sheriff, police, everyone that is involved, the National Guard that was involved. And we just thank you, Lord, for their service. But Father, our hearts are heavy of the ones that lost their lives during this situation. And Father, we ask that these ones that are not with us anymore, that you might console their families and just help them through this time, to give them the faith to persevere. And Father, as we conduct the business of this county today and for the next 4 years after the oath of office today, we ask, Lord, that we might look to you for guidance and direction. And during this time of the year that we celebrate the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, that we will remember, not just during this time of year, but all year, that there will be no peace on this earth without your guidance. Bless this board as we conduct the business at this time. These things I ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Please rise and place your hand. Right hand over your heart, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have already had our property appeal, so I'm now turning this over to our county attorney for our organization. Oh, I'm sorry. We have to have our oath first.
Yeah.
So we're going to ask our clerk to step forward to give us our oath of office.
I think you have your office in front of you with your oath, so if you'll please stand. Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand high. Do you solemnly swear that you will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of your office as County Commissioner for the County of Wayne, so help you God?
I do.
Do you swear that you will well and truly execute the duties of the office of County Commissioner for the County of Wayne according to the best of your skills and ability and according to the law, so help you God?
I do.
Congratulations, gentlemen. I look forward to working with you for one more month.
How about that? All right, everybody needs to sign this.
Yes, sir.
Oh, sign our sheet.
Yep.
Just keep your Bibles. We're going to use them for the Board of Trustees.
Okay.
Marshall. Have a copy of mine, please.
Now I'm turning this over to our county attorney for our organization.
I will accept nominations for chairman of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners for the next year.
Mr. Parker,
Yes, sir.
I nominate Commissioner Bill Pate for chairman.
Are there any other nominations? If not, I will close the nominations. All in favor of Mr. Pate as chairman of the board, please signify by raising your right hand. Mr. Pate, it's unanimous. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I was trained well.
Okay, I'd like to open the floor for nominations for vice chair for the next year.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Joe Gurley for vice chair for 2017.
Okay, are there any other nominations?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to nominate John Bill for vice chair for this coming year.
Okay, those who are there any more nominations? Okay, the nominations are closed. Those in favor of Mr. Bell, if you will raise your right hand. Okay, that's two. Those in favor of Mr. Gurley, if you will raise your right hand. Congratulations, Mr. Gurley. Look forward to working with you. The next thing up is the approval of minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? So moved. So moved. Okay.
I can't hear you.
Got a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approval of the minutes, please raise your right hand. Mr. Wood, is any additional adjustment to the agenda we need to discuss?
We just need to add the NCACC December video. That's the monthly update they send you.
Okay, that's fine. Anything else from any commissioner? Okay. I guess now we're ready for presentation of employee service plans. We need to come down up front,
Yes,
do we
sir.
not?
We'll start with our one-year pins. And if your name is called and you're here, we ask you to come be present and come get your pin from the county manager and shake the Board of Commissioners' hand. The first year, one-year pins, Ann Barron, the Detention Center. Alexander Brogdon with Wayne Nett. Barbara Lewis with the Sheriff's Office. Thomas Murphy, Soil and Water Conservation Office. Rochelle Rose with Social Services. William Salter with Wayne Nett. Angela DeBoski with the Wayne County Development Alliance. Panisha Faison with Social Services. Robert Gherkins with Wayne Nett. Paul Parks with Emergency Medical Services. Jessica Patrick with Social Services. Cassidy Piles with Emergency Medical Services. Travis Sauls with Wayne Nett. James Taylor with Facility Services. Brian Voller with the Detention Center. And Bobby Warren with Social Services. Next, we have our employees who have been with us for 5 years. Jonathan Batchelor with the Sheriff's Office.
Bill, we got just to shake your hand.
Sarah Cashwell with Social Services. Gabriella Hicks with Social Services. Justin Lewis with Emergency Medical Services. Douglas Westbrook with Wayne Net. Gigi Wynn with the Public Library. Sandra Morrissey with the Health Department. Next, we have our employees who have been with us 10 years. Kathy Best with Social Services. Tawana Calloway with the Health Department. Elizabeth Hill with the Health Department. Donna Pike with the Finance Office. Jessica Blizzard with Environmental Health. Diane Rouse with the Tax Office. Next, we have our employees who have been with us for 20 years. Ian Barrett with the Sheriff's Office. Patricia Hicks with Social Services. Our next employee has been with us for 25 years. That would be Alan Lumpkin, the Tax Administrator. Please join me in giving everyone a hand. Thank you.
Looks like we lost our fan club. Okay, we're a little bit past 9:15 here, so I'll open up the public comments period. So if anybody's got anything they want to bring up and talk to us, please come up. Is there anyone? Okay. If there is no one, I'm going to close that out then. Thank you. Okay, we'll do it early for the 9:30. Have we got time to go ahead and do the adjustment, you think?
I think so.
Yeah, so I'm going to recess the Wayne County Board of Commissioners meeting so we can convene the Wayne County Board of Adjustment meeting.
Can't do it till 9:30.
I'm sorry?
9:30. 9:30.
We can't do that till 9:30?
Go to unfinished business.
Okay, let's do that then. Thank you, ma'am. Unfinished business, we talked in the earlier time about the disposition of all these, the disposition of Duke Energy grant for the 3 plug-in electrical vehicle charging stations. Does anyone have any other questions about this? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor, or is any discussion? Having no discussion, those in favor, raise your right hand, please. Okay, we can go to the motion to approve the revised Spring Forest preliminary subdivision plat. If you would come up, Mr. Crumpler. Sure. And we went through this pretty extensively earlier today, so.
Right. This is the revised preliminary, revised comments section. This was Spring Forest Phase preliminary approval. The owner developer Sasser Home Builders. The surveyor is Brian K. Jones. It is located off of Dollartown Road, 1727, lots 100 through 148. Section 70-74 of the Wayne County Subdivision Ordinance requires that every major subdivision within the jurisdiction which does not qualify for an abbreviated minor subdivision process, the subdivider shall submit a preliminary plat which shall be reviewed and approved by the Board of Commissioners before any construction or installation of improvements may begin. This subdivision does consist of 148 lots, 1 permanently protected open space area, 6 proposed streets, and there is a emergency entrance and exit area easement located on the western road frontage. It is built on 80 acres, located 4/10 of a mile east of Lake Wakena Road. It is located within the outer horizontal zoning district for height restrictions. Average lot size is 1/2 acre. There's 6 new streets containing 1.8 miles in length that will be required to be installed to the requirements of the North Carolina Department of Transportation. The lots will utilize public water and on-site sewer, and they will be using the alternative process for wastewater systems. 1 permanently protected open space area consisting of 2.3 acres is dedicated to the homeowners association, and there will be 3, once the development is complete, they'll have 3 permanent stormwater ponds for peak flow retention. It is within an urban transition area on the Wayne County Growth Strategy Map, which is part of the Wayne County Comprehensive Land Use Plan. And this is an area that within the next 2 decades are likely to reach a level of development requiring urban services. This is within the Spring Creek High School, Spring Creek Middle, Spring Creek Primary school districts. Serviced by Eastern Wayne Sanitary. It is serviced by Elroy Fire Department and EMS Station 1. It is within the Goldsboro MPO for transportation planning purposes. It is not within a water supply watershed area. It is not, there are no ag districts present, no wetlands, and it is within Board of Commissioners District 6. The plat was originally sent to the Office of Emergency, well, y'all reviewed it last, took it under consideration at your last meeting. You asked me to send it back to the Office of Emergency Services for their review. It was sent originally to Office of Emergency Services on February the 18th, 2015. In his review, Mr. Price had requested an emergency vehicle access be added to the preliminary, and it was detailed on the plat near the western cul-de-sac to Plainfield Drive. I didn't clearly show that to you at the last meeting. The preliminary plat went before the Wayne County Planning Board and was approved with conditions on March the 10th, 2015. The conditions were a copy of the driveway permit, acceptance letter from the water district, and show the location of the permanent stormwater detention devices. A second review was performed by the Office of Emergency Services after the preliminary plat was tabled at the November 15th, 2016 Commissioners meeting. Their review has indicated that they are satisfied with the emergency vehicle access as shown on the preliminary plat. And so we're asking for approval of the preliminary.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I had a great number of issues on this particular subdivision. I think that what it has brought to light, and fortunately, we saw this plan last meeting, which only shows one entrance. As you can see there is a cul-de-sac at the other end, but they do not bring that all the way out to Dollartown Road. However, on that plat, there was missing the emergency entrance. And what they have there in the very corner where that cul-de-sac is, they have a gravel road coming out to Dollartown Road, going back in, tying into the pavement there. And to me, it just seems very odd that you would not extend that road, the pavement, all the way out. Because we all know what's going to happen with that gravel road. It will deteriorate, potholes will be in it. People are going to use that entrance to get in and out of the subdivision rather than going all the way down to go in the main entrance. And I'm not quite understanding why the developer would not just extend that out and have the second entrance with a paved street. Can you give me any enlightenment on that?
Mr. Jones, who is the engineer, is here if you'd like to ask. Maybe he would like to answer that. You can come up here.
Originally, it was designed, as you can probably tell, it was designed to come out to Dollartown Road. However, DOT does not like to give access to the same road in the same subdivision. They discourage that. So when I originally did the design, I went to DOT and they had asked if there was any way that we could just do the one. So that's why I ended up with the cul-de-sac out there. And then once we went to the preliminary, the planning board asked if I would put in the emergency access. So that's how it all coalesced into having a cul-de-sac with just a emergency access.
Well, what we're ending up with is about 150 lots with one entrance.
Yes, sir.
Second thing is, I actually went out there to the subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we haven't approved the preliminary, the streets are already in and paved. The next issue that came up was that I assumed that they were built to NCDOT standards. In fact, I think Mr. Crumpler has a letter to that effect. But grass was literally growing up through the pavement. I mean, it's only been paved 2 weeks and grass is growing up. So I'm sitting here, and the ditches were all washed in. So I turned around and called the Department of Highways and asked if they in fact required only one entrance. Giles says that they did not, that they do not.
They do not
prevent
require
you from having two entrances.
Right.
But you're saying they discourage you.
Right. In my initial discussion with them, they asked if there was any way of having that entrance gone because of two entrances. And actually, I wanted that entrance to be the initial entrance, but then the developer wanted to move it to the other side because of the.
Well, as you know, we are already running into a major problem in our county because of subdivision streets.
Yes.
I find out that NCDOT doesn't even go out to the subdivision to inspect any of the pavement or any of the improvements. It was
It's
appalling to
independent.
it. I said, you mean to tell me you don't go and inspect it? Well, no. All we require is literally a certification from an engineer that it was built to our standards. And I said, well, Giles, go out there and look at it. It can't be to your standards. He said, well, we'll handle that when we have a petition to take the roads over. And I'm saying, well, if that's the case, we're back to square one, because we then are going to have to put in the improvements of the streets, because these can't possibly be built to NCDOT if grass is growing through the asphalt. Do you see my concern?
I understand your concern, and it's been a concern for a while now in Wayne County, obviously, as you've stated. However, it's the DOT's requirement for us we hire a geotechnical engineer to go out and do the subgrade testing and the pavement testing, and when they submit those results, we submit those to DOT, and they perform the built to standards letter.
Well, I say all that, and I have voiced it. I had an extensive conversation with Mr. Crumpler, and he tells me that basically this does meet our guidelines in Wayne County that we currently have.
Yes, sir.
I bring all of that out, asking that we are going to have to address what guidelines and requirements that we have going forward. It has been built to what we currently have, and I can't vote against something if you met all the guidelines. But we really do need to make some adjustments.
Yes, sir,
in our
we really do need to address the street issue, because it, as you all know, are very aware.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions? Good points, by the way.
Yeah.
Do we do these are separate motions, is that correct, Marcia?
Well,
Okay. We'll talk about the next one then.
yeah, that was the preliminary. You can
Okay.
vote on the preliminary to approve the preliminary, but then we have to have some comments about the final and some of the,
Okay.
some of what I presented in your agenda package.
Okay, is there a motion on the floor to approve the preliminary?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we got a motion on the floor. Any more discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Next.
Okay. Phase one final is what they're seeking, is the first 45 lots in this subdivision. We have there was no action taken on it due to the preliminary being tabled at the previous meeting. As part of further evidence in this section, I have attached the Built to Standards letter that was issued by the North Carolina Department of Transportation. I have also submitted the design plan approval letter from the North Carolina Department of Transportation that approved the design. And I've also attached the NCDOT contractor certification letter that was signed and sealed by the engineer, and attached the pavement testing results that were done by a third-party testing agency. Those are also signed and sealed by an engineer.
Okay. Early, any questions?
I got,
I'm sorry, go
I
ahead.
want conditional approval on this plat. I'm seeking conditional approval. They have. Yes. What we have here is, because you have permanent stormwater detention devices, and because you have permanently dedicated open space, there is a requirement in our ordinance that a homeowners association be formed. That homeowners association would be required to take over the maintenance of those two devices. But the emergency access easement has been, is okay with emergency services. They do have a few conditions. They would like for the surface to be widened to 20 feet, and emergency vehicle access signs posted at both ends. And also the homeowners association bylaws would need to detail the responsibility regarding the maintenance of the access. Also, if you'll denote on the final plat, there is a street certificate on there that states that the owner developer is responsible for the streets until such time as it is taken over by the NCDOT or it is turned over to the homeowners association. So that is signed in on the plat, final phase one.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
And that has been discussed before, but I want to remind the board that even though that's in there, that the developer will be responsible, we do not have anything in place to enforce it. And that goes back to what Commissioner Darter was saying. is that we don't have anything that will enforce what's on paper. And until we do, this is not going to be solved. I'm going to go back just a second, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, that the County Board of Commissioners, one of the avenues that we had, and Johnson County used it years ago, was that when a subdivision was built, enough houses to DOT standards, that the county commissioners had the opportunity not to give out any more building permits until the developer petitioned DOT. Not that DOT took them over, but he petitioned them, because now that's on a volunteer basis. But House Bill 721 from the legislature repealed all that. And I have copies of that, and I've actually been lobbying our legislature to a certain degree, because that is the only power that the county commissioners had in the 100 counties of North Carolina to address this. I know we can try to do it from the DOT side, but the key is, unless we have something locally to enforce what Mr. Crumper just said, we're going to have the same issue in these subdivisions 20 years from now.
Or so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could, additionally, we do not have the ability to require a bond. I think in municipalities, they are allowed to require a bond.
That is correct.
So that property, that street is maintained, and at the time to be taken over by the municipality, or in this case, the state, that there is something there sufficient to make sure that the streets are brought up. There's no money in this, basically. This agreement, is that from an individual or is that from a company?
From the agreement on the plat,
Who is, yes,
the developer signs it.
the developer as an individual,
The developer in his corporate name.
in his corporate name. Now, we all know what corporate names are. All you do is file bankruptcy of the corporation, and that ends all liability. So you see, it's a catch-22. And I think our concern is going forward that we don't add to the problem we already have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion? Questions?
I just wanted to mention, and I agree with everything that's been said, there are a lot of problems with streets in North Carolina that are not in cities. I think the fundamental difference we have is that the reason a city can have a bond is those streets are being dedicated to the city, and the city takes them over. We don't, as y'all know, we don't have county roads in North Carolina, so the problem for the county is you don't have any authority to do that, because the roads, when they're petitioned to be taken over by DOT. And so that's part of the issue here. It's also part of the issue of why they dictate to you in your subdivision ordinance about the location and whether, how many driveway or how many connections to the main road you can have and that sort of thing. Because ultimately, they become part of their secondary highway system. So the way we have it set up in North Carolina does create some issues for us. But the primary one is whether they're built to standards and whether they're going to meet those standards and how quickly they're going to get into the DOT system. So we do have all of those issues. But I just wanted to point out, that's legally, that's one of the primary differences right there, is they don't come to the county, they go to DOT.
Mr. Crawford, do you have something else?
I just want to make sure that if you make a motion, that it is conditional approval based upon the widening of the access and the signage being put in place, and the homeowners association comments regarding the roads and the access.
Who'd like to make that motion?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion?
One question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Crumpler. The two stub-out streets, I know the answer, but I just wanted everybody else to know.
Yes, sir.
The reason they're just stub-outs and do not have a cul-de-sac is because of future development for the adjacent property. But my concern is, and you've got the dotted line where there actually would be kind of not a cul-de-sac, but a turnaround. But my concern is, emergency equipment being able to get in and get out of there on that small of a radius.
I think the length of that stub out would be, they'd be able to back out of that stub out
Okay.
in that default train there. If it was a longer stub out, you know, we would have required, or Mr. Price would have required a turnaround, or at least temporary turnaround put in place. But at that short, normally it's just a stub out, straight stub out.
Yeah,
Okay.
I disagree, but.
Okay. I just want to ask Mr. Powers, you know, you feel like this is safe in and out, or? I mean, I've got some concerns with it too.
Let me, Brian Taylor, the fire marshal, has looked at this. Let me bring him up.
Okay.
That's what you call a delegation.
You can stand beside him, Mel, and give him some support.
The question I think you asked me, Pete, about BOC. What I did when I reviewed this, and along with Mel and Steve with Everett Fire Department, we kind of looked at it, kind of like Mr. Daugherty said, does it meet the current ordinance? And it does. It's not optimal in our views, but it does meet the county standard at this point. I like some of the stuff I'm hearing about, you know, we need to look at this further in the future because it's something I've had on my mind for a long time. So I'm very encouraged that we're gonna take a little deeper look at these subdivisions and stuff, because we do, on the fire side, we do have some concerns on that.
Yeah. Perhaps in our retreat, this is something we can talk about in depth. What do you think? I think so. All right, any other questions, or Mr. Crumpler?
I do have a question.
I knew you would.
Is it within maybe this is the council, is it within the purview of this board to require that road to go all the way out to be connected to Dollartown Road?
I think you can certainly ask that the DOT consider it again, based on the information that's been presented to you today. It was considered and recommended against, and it sounds like that based on your conversation with DOT, that they would give you a different answer today. So you could certainly table it again if you wanted to see if they would do it.
But it does currently meet our guidelines.
Yes, sir.
Catch 22. Thank you. Yeah.
I can't remember, it's been so long. Do we have a motion yet?
No.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Commodity.
This, I guess I'm gonna go back to what the county manager was talking about. I just need this for information
Okay.
in the future. You had mentioned when Commissioner Daugherty was talking about the bond that developers would have put up. Did I understand you to say that the county doesn't have the authority to require a bond for road maintenance until DOT takes them over? Is that what I was hearing?
That's my understanding. The reason that cities can do it is the roads are dedicated over to the city. And so they do the subdivision plat approval, but they also take over all the utilities and they take over the streets when they're dedicated over. The difference for us is the streets in the unincorporated part of the county are dedicated over to DOT. So DOT is the affected party. So I'll defer to the county attorney on that, but I think you would find that you don't have that authority. Because the roads are not, your purview, they're DOT's purview. And going back to the question Joe just asked is, I don't think you have the authority, and I think that's what he was saying, is you can request them. and you can request reconsideration. But if you had the authority, you could just do it. You don't have that authority, in my opinion.
So we'd have to get approval from the DOT, Mr. Parker?
To change it, but in answer to your specific question about the bond, I think that House bill that you cited a while ago
721.
took the bond, your ability to require the bond out.
I think
as
you're
well.
correct. I remember seeing that in there. But that would be an avenue that would give a little bit of guts to what we're doing here, wouldn't it? I mean, the key is that I'm suggesting that we do what Mr. Chairman is saying, that we put it on our retreat list, because, and I would recommend we move it up on the priority list, because the citizens of Wayne County are the ones that's gonna be up on the short end of this thing if we don't take a look at it and see what we can do, even through the legislature, you know?
Well, one suggestion you might look at also is, instead of saying that the county, trying to get the legislature who just took away that authority to give it back to you may be difficult.
Yeah.
But one thing you might talk to them about is, why doesn't DOT require a bond?
That's the point, okay.
Because DOT ultimately will become the owner of those roads.
I like that.
Mr. Kamar, did you have something?
No, I was opposed.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir.
I think we need to make it clear, we all know that we have got a real situation and problem in Wayne County in subdivisions, some of them that has been done in the past. No reflection on the developers, and certainly no reflection on the developer of this one. It's just unfortunate that the issue has come up now while this plot is in front of us. But as Commissioner Darty stated, we've got to address this. But I want the developer of this plot, we're not trying to single him out. We're looking at the future.
Right.
And it's just, like I say, it's just unfortunate that his plot is the one that has brought all this out, but we have got to address this and get this, and this is a priority. I mean, this needs to be bumped to the top of the list. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And I think, yes, sir, Mr. Bill.
I hope the commissioner will keep in mind that we don't want to get too deep into this road business, because NACO, for about 5 or 6 years, we had to fight the legislature with everything in our power to keep us from having county roads responsibility. So I don't think we want to throw 99 other counties under the bus by getting too deep into this road business.
Point well made. And I was just gonna say, I'm like what you just said, I don't want to single out this particular one because they followed the rules and did what they were supposed to. So I myself would not vote against it. But anyway, somebody does need to make a motion.
Mr. Kamar.
Did you already make that? Okay, well then I thought somebody had made a motion. So we do have a motion on the floor for approval with all the conditionary things that we talked about.
Mr.
And
Chairman,
yes, sir.
May I ask, based on what I've heard everybody say, and that there will be a homeowners association, and one of the conditions is regarding the maintenance of the access for emergencies, you might want to add maintenance of the access and the roads. That means the property owners association would have to maintain it until the state took it over, which might get the grass cut.
Mr. Camardi, would you add that to your motion? That's what he said.
That's what he said, so moved.
I love it. But Marshall will get it in there, I'm sure.
Marshall, and then.
Okay, is anything else? Okay, all those in favor, if you,
I want to clarify what Gordon said. I want to get clear on this. The plat says that the developer is responsible for the roads. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can we, Gordon, would it make sense to say that the homeowners association is secondarily responsible? In other words, the primary responsibility is on him, but they take over if he fails to do it?
You could, but you'd have the situation that Mr. Daugherty mentioned, that somebody could go bankrupt, but the homeowners association would be there.
That's why I was saying maybe they would be secondarily, in the order of, I guess what I'm looking at in the order of priority that the developer is initially responsible.
Yes,
If the developer is no longer,
that's what's on the plat.
that's what's on the plat. But
Yes.
can we word it that if the developer is no longer in existence, then the homeowners association is responsible?
Yes.
I like that.
And that way you're holding the developer responsible, not
Good comment.
shifting that cost on the homeowner unless you have to.
I like that.
Okay.
So should we edit his motion again?
Edited to show the county manager's comments.
Okay.
Is that all right, Councilman? Yes. Okay. All right, we've been spending a lot of time on this. so-
Yeah, let's vote.
All right,
We
all
edit it
those in
again.
favor, please raise your right hand.
Let's move on.
Before we go back to, the, Board of Adjustment, we have one other duty we need to take care of because we got someone here who needs to go back to work.
There you go.
So, Ms. Judy Harrison, if you'll come up, and I think Mercer Wilson's gonna swear you in.
Raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you, Judy Harrison, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, so help you God? Do you, Judy Harrison, do further solemnly and swear that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, and that you will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of your knowledge and ability, so help you God? Do you, Judy Harrison, further solemnly swear that you will faithfully and truly, according to the best of your skill and ability, execute the duties of the office of Register of Deeds for the County of Wayne in all things according to the law, so help you God? Congratulations.
Marshall, I guess now we can do our 9:30 public hearing. We're running a little bit behind, but.
See something in this version, give you a handout according to your public hearing.
Oh, okay. And what'd you say there, Marcia, about this?
You got an email,
Yes.
which you received this morning, so I
Okay.
printed it out for you.
Yeah.
This is a comment on your public hearing.
Okay, thank you. All right. It doesn't need to be read or anything, though, does it? Okay. All right, Mr.
Okay,
Crumpler.
public hearing to receive public comments on the proposed special events ordinance. This ordinance deals with more than 500 persons in attendance, not created or not located in a facility with an emergency plan in place. Deals with outdoor events that routinely draw 2,500 or more persons in attendance. It specifies what things are exempt. It details the review process and notification of outside agencies, and it also details the reimbursement for cost of additional safety and personnel as required. This was advertised in the newspaper, and we're ready to receive public comment.
Okay, is there anyone here to speak to this? Sorry about that. If you'll come on up, anyone who's interested in making a public comment. All right. Hearing no one, I guess I close that out, is that correct? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Crump, you with us all day, aren't you?
Yes. We did receive, you did receive an email and objecting to the ordinance. It was advertised in the newspaper, and I did not receive any email or phone conversation regarding it during the public notice segment.
Okay. We could take action on this if that's the choice of this board today. Or-
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask some questions.
Sure, go ahead.
First question I have is, why did we determine that 500 was the magical number of starting this process?
Well, the committee that was formed, which was made up of members of the Board of Commissioners, made up of some staff members, some department level staff members, and made up of citizens. This committee also was serviced by citizens. We went through several issues or renditions of this ordinance, and that number was discussed a lot. The number bounced around from 250 to 1,000, and I think it was just a group consensus that 500 was the determining factor.
Number two, if I might, is it my understanding that, as an example, I think we have a facility in the northern end of the county that is a ballpark. And they routinely have in excess of 500 individuals that would be there. Are they covered under this ordinance, or are they to submit an annual plan?
If it was it depends on who is sponsoring the event. It would probably, if it was a non-school sponsor, in other words, it was not sponsored by a school or university in Wayne County, then they could probably have a one-year permit that they would renew every year, that would make arrangements and that they would work out with Office of Emergency Services on any additional requirements that they may need. It may be that they don't need anything, but it would give the emergency services the opportunity to review what they are doing there.
And is it my understanding that these are primarily, we have exempted most government entities, school facilities, and so forth?
Yes.
It really is for-profit
Yes.
organizations, is that correct?
That's correct.
Or people that are coming from the outside having that event?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to repeat what our clock session, my concern is, for some of the feedback is that citizens feel like that their taxes, their property taxes should cover this, and the key is that a lot of companies that are for-profit are also paying taxes in this county. If you are a business in this county, we, and I'm including myself, are paying a fair share. That's the only problem I have with this situation, is that I have some reservations about the fees that we're looking at. Otherwise, I'm good with the rest of it. We need to have the reporting. Emergency services, firemen need to be able to plan in advance. I agree with that 100%. But I'm having a little bit of a problem with the fees here.
Any additional comments?
Mr. Chairman, the thing that's before you right now, the ordinance does not have the fees in it. That would
That's
be a
correct.
separate thing that
That's the second part of this.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
If we don't take any action today, I got some comments I can pass along to staff, but if we'll take, I'd like to share them now. On page 68, and this may be better for Mel or Brian to answer than Chip. 68F, we covered events about the building code and electric codes. Do you think we should add in the NFPA life safety codes? Do you think that'd be beneficial?
The quick answer to that, Commissioner Gurley, is under the North Carolina Building Code, North Carolina Fire Code, which is part of the building code. They referenced that in that code, so I think we'd be covered.
Okay. Then, going into the next page on 69, B2, and about the EMS medical standards for Wayne County, you think we should include North Carolina OEMS standards as well, or you think that will cover?
On that section, I talked to Brian Smith, our EMS manager, and he said that this would be covered
It would cover
as
it.
well with OEMS and standards as well.
And then the last question I have or suggestion maybe, would be on page 71, or section 47.06, letter F. Towards the end of that sentence, it says, "and disruption at the end of each shooting day." Could we recommend making that each filming day?
Sure.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anything else?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I have a problem with the 500 number. I'm not sure other commissioners may have a problem with the 500 number. Has someone made a motion?
No.
No. I think Commissioner Aycock has some concerns, and I'm not understanding whether or not that is on the number of the 500, or is it the fees, or what those concerns would be.
I'm going to have to eat crow. I made some statements at the last meeting that I had not fully researched as much as I should have, and I really don't have a problem with it now. Like Mr. Mayo says, we may want to look at the fee charges, but then again, I look at some events that really require a lot of EMS and law enforcement, and I'm not saying that I'm against the fees. We may need to look at it, but I don't have as much problem with this now as I did at the last meeting.
Well, would it give you less heartburn if we increase the number from the 500 up to a larger number of participants? Would that give you less heartburn, is what I'm trying to do?
Yes.
I guess the evidently the committee sort of did an average. Do we ever have any events? How many events do we have? What percentage would be 1,000? I guess that's the question.
I do. Can I answer that since
Yes,
I'm a
sir.
servant on that? I don't want to single out a particular
Right.
entity.
Right.
But do understand there are events that take place in our county that strains our budget, strains our resources. And when you have an event where you have 15,000 people that come into Wayne County, undoubtedly it's going to strain, and the cost of that and cost of providing those services is borne by everyone else. So there is an issue here. It's how do you go about addressing it?
So are you suggesting that we raise the number but are you in favor of the fees if we raise the number? Is that what you're saying?
That's basically where I'm coming from. I'm saying that the fees would be appropriate at some level. Do we state it at 500 or do we increase that number of fees? And I'm just asking for the other members whether or not that may solve our dilemma.
Didn't we get that 500 number from another ordinance?
Yes.
That's where it came from. So
Our
it's-
initial ordinance was 1,000 that I submitted to the committee. We discussed 1,000 to begin with, and then it bounced down to 250, and then we ended up bumping it back up to 500.
At what number would we start having an impact on our emergency services, you know?
Well, it depends on the location of the place, and you might have a need for traffic officers before you would have a need necessarily for an EMS unit. So it really depends on the circumstances, the location, how many entrances and exits you have, those types of things. So it really has to be done on a case-by-case basis, and I think that's why we were looking at the number we looked at, because we could foresee that if you had 500 people, depending on a certain situation, that you may in fact need officers. And let me just say that in terms of the fees, the fees only come into account if the extra manpower is required. So the fact that you may have more than 500 people, you'll have to get a permit, but that doesn't necessarily equate to that we're going to charge you anything. Because depending on the location, the geography of it, and that sort of thing. If you're able to handle that without requiring additional manpower be there, then we're not gonna charge you for that.
I forgot, did we charge for the permit itself?
I don't think there is. So it's strictly for the added resources. The concern of the committee and the staff was, as Joe said, we have certain events here that really tax our resources. I mean, we literally have thousands of people going in. There's one way in, one way out. If that one way in or one way out gets blocked, we have trouble getting EMS units in, we have trouble getting fire trucks in, so we're having to pre-position those in there. And that means they've got to stay there. And those resources are tied up and not available to other people. So I know I didn't give you a crystal clear answer, but I think it just depends. You know, if that same situation had 3 ways of getting in and out, that might change that one.
And Mel and his staff would be doing that assessment, right?
That's right.
Correct. I'm sorry.
Did,
Mr. Mayor first.
Mr. Parker, I wanted to ask you, this is, and of course the board that worked on this, the committee rather, is it, and I don't remember, I can go back and look at it, but is it spelled out that way in really good detail about the charges that the county manager, in other words, is it explicit that just because you are over 500 doesn't mean that you're going to get charged any fees? I think that needs to be spelled out
My
really clear.
understanding, Chip, correct if I'm wrong, my understanding is the OES will review it, make a determination, and part of that will be they'll ask the sheriff to evaluate it. Do we need officers to handle the traffic? They will talk to the affected fire department and see what they think about, you know, can you have adequate ingress and egress? Same thing with EMS units. Are we going to need to position them, pre-position them, station them there, or is it on an on-call basis, just like any other event? So based on that would be the determination. Now, that's my understanding.
Well, if that's the case, then from my view, I would like for us to consider doing that, making sure it's clear, but I like the idea of move to the 1,000 and then have these rules of the fees spelled out.
Well,
we don't need to get caught up in the numbers. For an example, for organization that's for-profit that hosts an event and they charge gate admission, if they say they're gonna have 500 or 10,000, we've got to plan from the OES side and the sheriff's side, those preposition units you like to talk about. And it's gonna impact those services. Now, for that private for-profit organization out there that's calling for this permit, he or she's gonna be required to get these resources there irregardless because their insurance company's gonna make them. So I wouldn't get caught up in the numbers because you could have an event where you think there's gonna be 10,000 there. You pre-position your folks for that number. And if it rains it out and the numbers aren't 10,000, it's 490 or 990, you got a lot of extra folks there that they may want you to send home. So I just wouldn't get so caught up in numbers.
Okay. Got it.
I really don't have a problem with the way it's written right now. I mean, like I say, I got the E-Crow. I had not done as much research as I should have.
Mr. Chairman, I move adoption.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor. Is there any more discussion? Yes, sir.
You're changing the word shooting to film.
Yes, with that change, yes.
I just want to clarify, that is how it reads, is it not, that the OES determines?
Yes.
Okay, well, that was Ray's question. I just want to make sure
Okay,
that what I said was accurate.
I'm good with that, okay? I'm good with that.
Anything else? All right. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Unanimous. Let's get into the second part here, Mr. Crumpler.
Oh, on the, so on the fees, as I said, we recommended the fees for personnel on charges we use now, and then FEMA reimbursement rates on the equipment is what Mel has used on that. So all you're doing is changing the budget ordinance to say under A, under that ordinance, it says under Section 7, for the Office of Emergency Services fee, insert the following: $20 per hour to be paid directly to county personnel involved in traffic control, event security, fire safety, medical safety, or other facility and or event support. So that's the fee we charge now for like football games, covering those games, and having an EMS unit there or a sheriff's deputy or whatever. The use of county equipment shall be reimbursed directly to the county per vehicle as follows: ambulance standby, $41.50 per hour; QRV standby, $25.50 per hour; law enforcement vehicle, $19.75 per hour. Payment of fees for special events shall be made in advance of the actual event. Reason for that is a number of these may be out-of-town folks, and if you don't get the money on the front end, sometimes they come in, they go, and you haven't gotten your fee. It's a little bit like the landfill with an out-of-county company. You know, you don't want to let them run up a bill and then leave. So, again, those fees that I listed there are based on FEMA reimbursement rates, so I don't think anybody can argue with that they're a fair rate, because that's what the federal government will do.
Something I'm thinking of, to Commissioner Gurley's point, if it gets rained out and they've already paid up front and we send staff.
We can look at whether or not we think they should be reimbursed any, but it's always easier to reimburse than to go back and collect.
It's been a while since we had.
Because the opposite could also happen. They could tell us they got 500 and they have a whole lot more, and the next thing you know, we're having to throw another sheriff's vehicle out there or whatever, you know, and then we're short on getting paid.
Yes.
And as I recall, the way the group that looked at this ordinance put a model in there that's going to tell how many staffs needed for each individual discipline. Is that correct?
Anybody else? Do we want to take any action on this today, or is there anything else you need to add, Chip?
I'll move adoption.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor to adopt. Any more discussion? Then all those in favor, if you'll raise your right hand. It's adopted. Now I need to recess. Okay, we're going to recess from the Wayne County Board of Commissioner meeting, convene Wayne County Board of Adjustment meeting. And I think we've got another oath we need to take. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. If you will stand, place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand high. Do you solemnly swear that you will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of your office as a member of the Board of Adjustment for the County of Wayne, so help you God?
I do.
Do you swear that you will well and truly execute the duties of the office as a member of the Board of Adjustment for the County of Wayne according to the best of your skills and ability, according to the law, so help you God?
I do.
Congratulations.
Okay, let's move into the adjustment public hearing. And Mr. Crumpler, you're up once again, my friend.
All right. We are meeting here today for a special use permit for a proposed solar facility located within the 2011 Seymour Johnson Airspace Controlled Surface Area. Of course, all solar farms that fall within that boundary, we require a special use permit. Any that fall outside, we do not. This proposed project is Hood Solar Farm LLC. It's located at 1185 Mark Edwards Road. The developer is ESA Management Services. It is located within the Sawston Township. The Wayne County Planning Board on October the 20th approved the site plan for Hood Solar Farm. And the plan was reviewed by the staff and has been determined to meet the minimum requirements of the Wayne County ordinance regulating the operation and maintenance of solar energy facilities. This proposed energy facility will be a 5 megawatt PV electrical generation facility. It will be single axis tracker modules. The facility will encompass 38.1 acres on 2 different parcels of land. They are intersected by Mark Edwards Road. The plant will be interconnected to the local distribution system owned by Duke Progress Energy. The site is currently agricultural. It's located on the north side of Hood Swamp Road, SR 1705, at its intersection with Mark Edwards. It is partially zoned RA20, RA30, and RA20. Solar energy facilities are permitted as a special use in both zoning districts. Seymour Johnson Air Force Base has reviewed the site plan, and a copy of their review letter has been submitted as evidence. The site is bordered on all sides by agricultural uses. Site plan meets the requirements as outlined in our ordinance. Fencing is regarding setbacks, fencing, landscaping buffers, and the signage. It is within the New Hope Fire District, serviced by EMS Station 5. It is not in our water supply watershed area. There are no voluntary ag districts present. There's no wetlands present. It is within Board of Commissioners District 5. Okay, in our ordinance, the Wayne County Ordinance regulating solar facilities, Section 5 requires that any solar facility shall be considered a special use in all areas covered by the Seymour Johnson Air Force Base Air Surface Control Areas defined in the 2011 ACUs. Approval as a special use must be from the Wayne County Board of Adjustments, and that's the reason it's before you. As supporting documentation for its approval, I submitted a copy of the site plan, a copy of the special use permit application, the ground lease agreement with the property owner, an interconnection request for Duke Progress, the decommissioning plan, input from Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, and the documentation on the regulated ditches that are on site. This went before the Wayne County Planning Board, and they recommended that the special use permit be approved.
This is a public hearing here, so anybody wants to speak to that, please come forward. If you'll state your name and number and address.
Alex Economy Jr., 320 Longs Plant Farm Road. I missed the prior meetings with the one on Miller's Chapel Road, and I don't know if that one's ever approved. I live actually in that area. But I just want to say that I am a huge proponent of solar energy, and I really believe that we need more of it for our future. But I have concerns of these companies coming in and gobbling up large plots of our land that we need for growth to our tax base and to grow our food on and our future housing needs. We now have 6 of these large fields in Wayne County that I know of. And I will tell you that the one on Highway 13 is a real eyesore to come into our county and see. This type of industry does not create a lot of jobs for our area. They only create a lot of jobs in the short term to install these fields. Few jobs are needed after the installation to maintain the fields, which will not help for jobs in Wayne County. I feel there is a much better way of installing solar panels that would not use the land that we need for our growth in Wayne County. That would be for them to rent space on large industrial buildings such as schools, malls, shopping centers, or convention centers, any building that has a large space. All these buildings that are not being used but still sit there all day long and collect sunshine. This would be a much better way to install these panels instead of taking up 20 to 40 acres of land that we need for housing and to grow our food on. In the future, we will need these areas for growth to contribute to our tax base so that our taxes are not raised on the citizens of Wayne County. I feel that I pay more than enough now in taxes. I ask that you deny this change. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Is there anyone else? Okay. Having no one else, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Does the board want to take action on this today, or do we want to study this further? Is there a motion anywhere? If not, we can come back and take a look at it later.
Whose district is this in?
It's actually mine.
District 5.
We'll let you make the motion.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm the chairman, I'm trying to run the meeting.
You could make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
All due respect to what the gentleman said back there, I have concerns too about the loss of agricultural land. But in many cases, these are people who own they own the property, and many of them are farmers. And I find it hard to tell a landowner, if they meet the regulations, that they can't operate a solar farm. But again, I have the same reservations as he does. However, again, as I just said, I'm not going to prevent a landowner from using their property as they see deemed necessary, and it meets the letter of the law. So having said that, I'll make the motion that we move and go forward with this. So there's a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I agree with that, because every property owner has the right to use their property for reasonable advancement or whatever they want to use it for within certain restrictions. Those restrictions on solar farms have not been put on paper. So this solar company has met all the criteria, Mr. Crumper, that the county requires. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I do not have a problem, but we do need to address it. I agree with our chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
And also, one of the comments that the gentleman made about solar panels on buildings and all. I have looked into that a little bit. I certainly think that it's, in fact, we used it into new schools, or the Board of Education did. In future construction, I certainly think that needs to be considered, but a lot of our older facilities, the building codes and the structural integrity of the building and all, probably would include a whole lot more than just putting the panels on the roof. I mean, because you've got to have the structural ability to sustain all that. But I agree with what's already been said, is that we do need to look at it in the future on seeing can we get some solar panels on some future buildings. Thank you.
Could I add a comment?
Yes, sir.
On regarding the appearance of some of them from the highway, at one point in time, we had no ordinance that recommended or required screening, we do now. So the farms that he may be talking about, either the screening has not grown to the appropriate height yet, or it was a farm that was before our ordinance and we had no control over it. So.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor of the motion, if you will raise your right hand, please. Okay, I'm going to adjourn the Wayne County Board of Adjustment meeting, and I'm going to reconvene the Wayne County Board of Commissioner meeting. Let's see, we were down to consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of consent agenda.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, if you please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Going into new business, we need a motion to approve the Board of Commissioners voting delegate for the NCA Association of County Commissioners at the 2017 Legislative Goals Conference. Being the chairman, and I'm going, I'd be willing to volunteer. Somebody will make that motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We've got a motion on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor, if you please raise your right hand. Approved. We need to have a motion to establish a public hearing on January 3rd, 2017, 9:30 a.m. to receive public comments on a request by Cedric Jackson to rezone 1.6 acres in Salisbury Township from airport AP to residential agriculture 20 RA 20. We discussed that in the 8 o'clock session. Does anybody else have any additional questions of Mr. Crumpler? Or are we going to make him walk up here again?
I think we just need to, I make a motion, we go ahead and set the public hearing, because I think we discussed it enough this morning.
I agree.
And really, this is just to set the public hearing, and then be more discussion at the January 3rd meeting.
That is correct. We have a motion on the floor. Is any additional discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. The motion is approved. And then we'll move on to 3, which is a motion to schedule Board of Commissioners budget retreat on January 18 at 2017 at 8:30 a.m. Has everybody had a chance to look at their calendars and see if that's a good date for you?
Yeah, just to see. Make sure I have a dollar.
January 18.
I'm good.
Everybody's good?
Yeah.
All right.
So
We need-
moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Any more discussion? No. All those in favor, raise your right hand. We're set. There's been a change in the law that changed the exempt, non-exempt employees, and we voted on this last meeting, and now there's an injunction that's changed it back. So, very briefly, if you would just.
Right. U.S. District Court in Texas had all of the consolidated cases, and the judge there made a ruling that he was going to grant a temporary injunction. This is nationwide until he can go into the details of it. And so we're at a point now where they do not have to become effective December 1. So what we're recommending to you is we simply take it back to what we had prior to the last meeting, which, as you recall, was to go into effect December 1. And we're recommending that you make this retroactive back to December 1. So the net effect is if it didn't happen. And you have the corrected pages. We're sorry for the oversight. Apparently, one of the pages did not get copied in putting together your agenda.
And this is the motion that we need to make. Would someone like to make that motion, please?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Didn't need to read it. Okay, we've got a motion on the floor to approve. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Okay, I believe we're down to our NCACC update.
Hello and welcome to the County Update video for December 2016. This video is produced by the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners each month to keep county officials informed about association activities. Let's begin this month with the NCACC's continued role in Hurricane Matthew recovery efforts. The NCACC partnered with the North Carolina League of Municipalities to hold Hurricane Matthew legislative input sessions across the eastern part of the state in November. In these meetings, county and city officials shared their suggestions for what it's going to take to recover from the hurricane. North Carolina Emergency Management and FEMA had officials at each of the meetings to answer questions and to hear directly from those affected by the storm. The NCACC website has a page that links to hurricane recovery information that is available to the association for easy access by county officials. Please email communications@ncacc.org with your comments or questions. If you still have unanswered Hurricane Matthew recovery-related questions for the governor's office, please email help@ncacc.org. With each November comes an election, and all across the state we welcome first-time commissioners to the association. We encourage new commissioners to learn more about the resources and upcoming training opportunities available through the NCACC. A good place to start looking if you're interested in training as a new commissioner is the local Elected Leaders Academy, or LELA. You can visit www.ncacc.org/LELA for more information on that program. For commissioners who already participate and who would like to know about their earned credits or would like to register for more LELA events, please visit ncacc.events.org/LELA. There, our education staff has created an updated list of earned credits for easy reference as you work towards LELA recognition. For newly elected commissioners who may be seeing one of our updates for the first time, here's a little background on the association. The NCACC was founded in 1908 and is one of the most successful and active statewide local government associations in the nation. The NCACC advocates for county government before all branches of state government. All 100 North Carolina counties are members of the NCACC. The NCACC's vision and mission statements were adopted by the board during the association's strategic planning process in 2015 and capture the focus of the association. If you'd like more information about the NCACC, please visit our website, ncacc.org, or contact any of our staff. The Legislative Goals Committee met in November and decided on a package of goals to send to the NCACC Board of Directors for consideration at its December 14th meeting. The board will review and approve goals for membership's review and final approval at the Legislative Goals Conference January 12th and 13th. For more information on the process, visit ncacc.org/legislative goals. We encourage county officials to participate in steering committees, and each of the NCACC's 7 steering committees meets quarterly. Steering committees provide the greatest opportunity for individual county commissioners to get more involved within the association. Membership on the steering committees is open to all county commissioners, as well as county staff who might have a particular interest or expertise. For more on NCACC steering committees, please visit ncacc.org/steering committees. Well, that's all we have for this month. Thank you for watching and allowing us to keep you updated on your association's activities. If you'd like more information on anything we discussed here, please visit ncacc.org or contact us directly. Thanks again for joining us. We will see you next month.
In regards to the steering committees, if you wanted to get involved in those, they're really good things to be involved with. Not only do you learn what's going on in other parts of the state, you meet a lot of different commissioners, and I've received a lot of ideas from those people. And those goal setting is important, because if you don't go, you don't participate in how those goals are set, and other people will be doing that for you. Just throwing that out there. And there are a number of different committees that you can be involved in, whether it be workforce or me myself with agriculture and so forth. But just wanted to throw that out. Okay, we're down to county manager's comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just got a few things. First thing, I want to introduce to the public Carol Bowden. Carol is our county clerk designee, and she will be taking over. Marcia retires on the 31st of December, so she's going to be working with Marcia through these couple of meetings here, and started work with us December 1, so welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Welcome.
The second thing is, as y'all know, we sent out an email yesterday, the Pikeville Parade got canceled yesterday because of weather. They have rescheduled it for Saturday, December 10th at 2 p.m. And so the lineup will be at 1 p.m. at the same location, the church there in Pikeville, where we always line up. The next thing I have is a couple of things I wanted to give to you. Chip and the committee that had been working on the manufactured housing ordinance, the minimum housing ordinance, the special events ordinance, they've been working on two more things. One is the proposed changes to the abandoned and junk vehicle ordinance, and we're going to want to have a work session on that at the next meeting. So I wanted y'all to be aware of that. We'd also like to give this out to you. This is the proposal, so everybody can see it and study it over the next couple of weeks. And then the second thing we wanted to do is same thing. We've got the mobile home park ordinance. As you may recall, a lot of what was in the mobile home park ordinance we have now put into the housing ordinance, minimum housing ordinance that we had. So what we've got to do now is amend this mobile home park ordinance. And a lot of those changes, he's listed by bullet point. He's listed by bullet point what the changes are there. Again, we won't go over them today because that's what the purpose of the work session is at the next meeting. But simply wanted y'all to have those so that you could have more time to read through them before we have the work session at the next meeting. And with that, we're continuing to make progress. We will have the final inspection on the jail this week. So we'll be ready to take that over shortly. The state will be bringing down their inspectors to go through it. And we'll be going through that. And then we'll go through some training and then be ready to go on. So that's the primary thing there. MRAC, everything is going well. They're continuing to make progress. If you haven't been out there, they're putting down the binder course. So they'll come up at the end of the project with another 1.5 to 2 inches of asphalt, which will be the final coat. If you ride on it, this base seems rough. Binder course is rough, so don't worry about that. But it does help, particularly in the winter, to go ahead and get that down, and that seals and protects that roadway. They've gotten it rolled and everything primed and gone ahead and put the binder course on it. So that's the main thing there. We should also in January have the schematic drawings back to you on the proposed 911 center. And at that point, we'll need to make a decision about whether you want to add the EOC to that on the front end or not. Because once you approve the schematic design, then he will go forward with full design plans. And if you recall, that was brought up, I guess 2 or 3 months ago, about whether we would go ahead and include the EOC or not. And we decided that the schematic would have it because it has to have it to show where it's going in the future. So then the question becomes for you, do you want to add it into the initial construction or hold off on it? So that'll be a major decision that y'all will need to make in the next month or so. And with that, I think those are the major things we're working on at this point.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Could I ask the county manager a question?
Sure, go ahead.
I know we're waiting on the subdivision for the subdivision road repairs.
Yeah, we're waiting till the spring. He's doing the design now.
Yeah, okay.
And it'll be, probably go out for bid in early March so they can get going around mid-March.
Okay, yeah, I've been asked a couple of times, people are now, I know this is our first one. It's gonna take a little while and we gotta wait till the spring, but.
That's right.
As soon as we can, but we are moving
Yeah, we're moving on that.
Okay.
The one other thing I did want to mention is Mel, you want to give an update on the debris removal?
Good morning, gentlemen. So I sent you an email out Friday, and where we're at right now, of course, we've got 2 contracts that we've gotten back in. I've talked with Allison. We are waiting to get those executed and pre-audited today. Our debris monitoring company is on standby, as well as the removal company. The removal company was actually the same contractor doing the city of Goldsboro. So all their equipment is here, they're on standby. As soon as we get the contracts executed today, we've already got the paperwork to get the purchase requisition done so that we can get the PO. That's not going to hold them up. As soon as we get them that contract, they're going to get started in the zones. Like I said in the email, we've split the county up into zones, and they'll work in each zone until that zone is complete, and they'll move to the next zone. We'll utilize Code Red to notify all the citizens within each zone once we start bringing their debris out to the roadway, so that we can get it picked up. We have talked with FEMA. Our monitoring company will be looking into the ones that may have some issues getting them to the road to see what we can do about those. But we're hoping that probably by Wednesday we'll start our debris removal process here in the county on those zones.
Yes.
I think the entire board got a email today from a concerned citizen out at Hood Drive, and there's a lot of debris out there, and hopefully you'll kind of push that to the front of the...
Yes, sir. What we're going to do, I've talked with our monitoring company. They've went out and actually surveyed everything. We're going to follow the flood, so we're going to start in the west and move to the east, because the ones in the west have had the debris the longest. So we'll follow the path of the flood and follow from west to east into the county.
Quick question, Mel. On the Code Red, you're going to do the entire county because of the flash flooding and localized flooding as well?
Yeah, we will do the entire county. The first Code Red to go out entire county, and then we'll be specific on the zones on the Neuse River flooding.
We also plan to get it out under, through Facebook and Twitter and all that too. So, and we'll put it out on our webpage and that sort of thing. So we're going to try to blanket it. We had to wait until we were ready to go before we could do that.
And we're looking, both monitoring company and debris removal company said they're looking at probably 5 to 10 days to have it completed.
One other thing I did want to mention to you is at the next meeting, I'd like to schedule interviews for the assistant county manager position. So that'll be a fairly lengthy meeting. I think we have either 4 or 5 finalists.
And I think it's important enough for that position that we're all, this whole board is part of that.
Right. So that'll be done in closed session, but you can't make a decision without coming into open session. But you can discuss them in closed session. Correct. So I just wanted everybody to know the next meeting will be fairly lengthy because of that.
Mr. Chairman, how many applicants are we going to be interviewing that day?
4 or 5.
4 or 5. And you're allocating how much time?
About an hour.
About an hour.
Maybe 45 minutes.
So we're looking at least 5 hours there, and you've also scheduled a work session?
2.
2 work sessions.
But beyond that, we don't have a whole lot.
You do know this is just prior to Christmas. I mean, you're going to really get your money out of it.
Trying to get the last out.
I was wondering if you were catering both lunch and dinner. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to have turkey for dinner. That's right. That's right.
A turkey sandwich.
Yeah, that's about it.
Anything else, Mr. Wood?
That's it.
Okay. Commissioner comments. Mr. Boo.
Okay, just before I get started, I want you to know that Marcia gave me my nice bills this morning, so I'm okay. Nobody didn't laugh about that. No, really, I want to take this opportunity. I don't have a report. I just want to thank Commissioner Joe Doherty for a job well done last year. Enjoyed working with you, and I want to congratulate you for doing your job. And the 2 newly elected people, Bill Pate and Joe Gurley, congratulations to you too. And let me just say this. This is where I'll get in the weeds a little bit. As a commissioner, you're not a Republican or Democrat. You're a Wayne County commissioner. and we got to always remember that when we up here performing our duties. I don't see anything on the agenda that tells us that when a person files to get some work done, that we ask for his party affiliation. He's just a citizen of Wayne County. And I want us to remember that we are county commissioners first. Now, what you do this afternoon when you get off, that's your business. But up here, we are county commissioners, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Mr. Aycock.
Just briefly, I may need some help from Mr. Wood on this. The facilities committee from Wayne Community College met. Dr. Walker and Don Magoon gave us a real in-depth rundown on Wayne Works, or the Advanced Manufacturing Center. I think everyone on the facilities committee, when they left the meeting, they were at ease on what was going on, basically. And we kindly put it in the hands of Dr. Walker and Mr. Magoon and Mr. Wood and Kendall to bring back to us, anything that needs to come back before the commissioners. We didn't feel like that the facilities committee for the college really need to be involved in it, other than just to keep us informed. But, sometimes you can have too many people working on something, and so that's where we stand with the Advanced Manufacturing or Wayne Works. It will be Dr. Walker, Don Magoon, Kendall Lee, and Mr. Wood. Is that about what Dr. Walker had?
Yes, sir.
And I understand y'all have been meeting on it, but.
Right, we've met twice on it.
Right.
Had good meetings on it.
And other than that, that's, other than cool day Saturday on the parades, but other than that, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Aycock. Mr. Mayo.
Yeah, I have a couple of things. First of all, I've been on the board 5 years, and because of Mr. Marshall Wilson, I've gained at least 15 pounds. Thank you so much for every year she does this for each commissioner. You're going to be missed, but I'm really glad that Carol Bowden is along with us. She's going to fit right in like a glove. So welcome aboard. We did have a DSS meeting last week, and the DSS board, I've got to get with our county manager on some things that the DSS board itself talked about, some things that happened. The other thing is that Thursday, December 1st, not only as a commissioner, but as a private citizen and a company, our company was involved in the 2016 Manufacturing Day at the Kinston Jetport Terminal. And they was scheduled, it had been postponed before the hurricane, but they were scheduled to have close to 700 high school students from the neighboring counties, including Wayne, to come. We had booths set up. Wayne County was well represented to try to show young people in high school that there are alternatives. You don't have to. The trades are there. Things have changed. I had a lot of questions about what machining is. It used to be 30 or 40 years ago, machining was a sweatshop job. It is not anymore. It's clean. It's highly technical. So kids need to understand that there's other alternatives to careers that are very lucrative in pay. That was a great day. I think one of the highlights was, and if you saw my Facebook posting, the second largest air cargo plane in the world was sitting at the Kinston Jetport. And the fuselage that Spirit Air System makes right there in the transport, they are using this huge cargo plane, which the whole top of it opens, and big cranes set this fuselage down inside of it to transport it overseas. You can't transport them down the highway. You can't transport them by railroad. How do you get these huge fuselages that Spirit Aerospace is building? How do you get them out of here? By plane. How about $250,000 an hour operating cost for this huge plane? But at any rate, it was a great day, and you know that's where my heart is. It's always been in the manufacturer side. The other thing, real quickly, is that on Friday, I did go down to Lenore County to hear the governor's Hurricane Matthew Recovery Committee at the community college, the report. And Governor McCrory set up this committee for this particular hurricane. And there's a lot of progress made. There are some of the FEMA offices that are starting to close around the area. But the key is that everybody agreed, and George, I've heard you say this many times, when you deal with the government, it's slow. Well, it's always too slow when you have an emergency like we had. But at any rate, the meeting was great, and I just appreciate everyone pulling together. Here in Wayne County, we pulled together and did a phenomenal job. Everybody did. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Camardi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had an opportunity to attend one of my committees, the library committee last week, on that particular date. Over time, I've lost track just a little bit, and Thanksgiving and the great amount of enjoyment of that activity caused me to not prepare appropriately to attend DSS. Of course, the young lady gave me a call, but by that time, I was out in the field with some folk doing some painting and couldn't get back. So, but I would like also to add to Mr. Bell's acknowledgement of the great work that Mr. Daugherty has done as this previous year's chairperson, and it was not without challenges. But he's that kind of fellow. He doesn't stand back and take the easy road, so sometimes I think that he might take some incoming that somebody else may not get. And I thought I noticed a little bit of that this past year. As the new leadership comes in, I wish for them a smooth administration. The 2 previous years, I had the opportunity to serve as vice chair with Mr. Acock, and I would just want the public to know that that was not as much my doing as it was a little bit of arm twisting and politicking by Mr. Bell and Mr. Daugherty, because they felt like that it would be advantageous to have a bipartisan board of leadership. And I was proud to add to whatever that I could. I nominated Mr. Bell this year for the reason that I thought that Wayne County should also reflect this year, after an absence of last year, a bipartisan opportunity for leadership and a biracial opportunity for leadership. So oftentimes my little part in this is sometimes to look not so much at the past, but towards the future. I like for this board to always reflect leadership that should be exhibited by the rest of the county. And over the last several days, we've noticed that the school system has admitted that some of the special schools that have been set up, they do not demographically reflect the county. And so we can't say very much about that when the leadership on this particular board does not represent a biracial or a bipartisan opportunity. Having said that, I have all the confidence in the world of the 2 gentlemen that will be providing the leadership, but oftentimes perception is first cousin to reality. I would also like to conclude this by thanking Marcia for the time that I've had an opportunity to work with and near her. she makes all of us look good, and we certainly want her to go into her retirement. And Marcia, there's nothing like being retired.
I look forward to it.
I enjoy serving on this board, but I know I'm retired. I'm retired, and that gives you a different feeling. Mr. Acock, having your opportunity to serve on the the Wayne Community College board, I do hope that we will soon see something out of the manufacturing complex that I thought a couple of years ago was designed to really spur forward. So I look forward to that. Mr. Mayo talks about manufacturing, but I specifically come out of the skilled crafts prior to going into white collar teaching and all that. And so I have a great affection, if you will, for the skilled crafts that I perceive should be the forefront of what the community college does. I think it's 58 campuses stretched across North Carolina, and they were specifically put in place so that folk who needed a trade could get a trade. And we always keep saying that a trade will bring you X number of dollars and X number of opportunities to always be employed, and that is the truth. And sometimes, although college, a four-year college is the first thing folk look for when they want their children to go someplace, oftentimes, if you look real close, please don't overlook the community colleges. And in saying that, I don't want the community colleges to overlook the public. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Are you up to talking, sir?
I'll try. I've got a couple comments for recognition of a couple of people that I will hold in reserve till next meeting, but I'm going to try to preserve my voice for this afternoon. I'll probably do a little singing along the way. Mr. Pate, congratulations on your chairman's post. My commitment to support you as chairman, my commitment to promote a unified board and a board of harmony, and just as important, committed to help build and communicate and promote a strong Wayne County, an attractive Wayne County. And final comment on that, Mr. Chairman, one county, one united board of commissioners.
Mr. Daugherty.
Mr. Chairman, I know that Mr. Daugherty, he went off his chair. I mean, he's gonna probably have a lot to say, but I just forgot to mention a couple of things, and it's been mentioned about Marcia. And Marcia, thank you so much for what you've done for this board over the many, many years, not just this board, but previous boards. But the main thing one of the main things though is, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Is gonna be the name dedication, for DOT employee Gray Bailey. Part of the new bypass will be named in his honor, and as y'all know, he was a DOT employee that lost his life working on that new road out on the western end. And that section of road will be named in his honor tomorrow. And I just want to thank Marcia and Giles Harold, because we hit a major stumbling block on making this happen. And when Marcia told me about the stumbling block, I said, well, what in the world? She said, we're working on it. She said, just give us some time, we're working on it. And Marcia and Giles worked through it. And I want to thank you, Marcia, for your effort on that, because I know you put many, many hours in it. But it is tomorrow at 2 p.m. in courtroom number 1. And certainly all of y'all you've already got an email, but all of y'all are invited. I think it's a great honor for the Bailey family and for Wayne County. Thank you.
Thanks.
Marcia, I too want to thank you for your diligent work. You've helped me tremendously over the 4 years, and especially this last year. Carol, I hope you know how to bake, because that is your new duty. Going forward, we expect the same. She probably will leave you some recipes. But welcome. And Marcia, we surely will be missing you. Yes, we're closing out a a chapter of being chair. And I do want to thank the board for the honor of electing me as chair. I kind of equate my chairmanship to my not being able to necessarily have sensitivities that George tells me I need to develop. But as I get older, I'm having it more difficult to address some of those sensitivities. I kind of equate it from the standpoint of making an omelet. You know, you got to crack some eggs in order to make an omelet. But gosh, it's good when you eat it. And I say that to say that if I hope that I have not stepped on too many toes over the last year. But I do feel like that we have accomplished a great deal over the last year. That's a direct reflection of this board and your efforts on getting those things done. I congratulate our new chair and vice chair. I look forward to working with you all and hope we're going to have a very productive year going into 2017. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I think Mr. Bell had a comment.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't say anything about Ms. Wilson, but we have another day, don't we?
Yes, certainly
Coming
do.
this month. So I'll have all to myself that day. You all already made your comment.
Oh, I intend to share an embarrassing moment with
There have been plenty over 26 years, I can tell you.
I meant to mention this about Commissioner Doherty. When he first came on the board, you know, I've always been a prankster, and he was sitting right here where Mr. Aycock is sitting. So I went back in the back and I got me a piece of masking tape and I put it right down here. And I told him, and I said, now listen, this is my side of the building, and that's yours. I said, you stay on your side and I stay on mine. And I didn't tell him any better. So he went to Wayne Aycock and said, what's wrong with that child?
But we're good friends.
Well, I felt very special to sit between you and Ed for 2 years, and y'all never put the tape down between me. Thanks a lot, Joe. I've had a lot of fun with you over the last year, and you're a very knowledgeable person, and you know how to get a job done. You know how to get a job done. Thanks so much. And I want to welcome you as new vice chair. Looking forward to working with you, and I am so honored to be elected as your chairman. I want to keep the lines of communication open. Please don't hesitate to call me, and because I'm going to call you, and please answer my phone call if you would. And that's what I'm planning to do. One thing about the MRAC that you're talking about, I asked Wayne Alley there's a camera, T11 has a time-lapse camera out there, and it's on our website, so you can follow to see how it's going. So let's keep our eyes on that. I will be making committee assignments before the next meeting. I'd like to meet individually with each commissioner to see what your passions are and where I think you're best suited. Unfortunately, there's only so many pieces of the pie, so everybody won't be able to get exactly what they want, but I'm going to try to work with everybody as best I can. Over the years, and I've heard Mr. Bell tell me many, many times, it says we're not following our operating procedures. Well, he's right. And I finally asked for those procedures, and I read them, and it's not a huge change, but I do think we need to follow some more parliamentary rules that we've not been doing. I'll make sure that everybody gets a copy of it. You actually got one when you became a commissioner, but if you were like me, you may have not ever read it or put it away, don't know where it is. But anyway, if you'll take a look at that. Let's see here. Oh, and finally, thank you so much, Marcia, for training me. I thought I knew a lot when I came in. I knew, and then I found out I didn't know nothing. And Carol, in your position, I wish you a lot of luck, and I'm looking forward to working with you. I won't say you have big shoes to fill. You have special shoes to fill.
I can see that.
Yeah, but anyhow, thank you so much, Marcia, and I would really like to have your cell number so we can call you when we're in trouble.
No problem.
And with that, I have nothing else. Has anybody else got anything? Okay. I know we haven't got a closed session. For what purpose?
To consider and discuss qualifications of elected public officers.
Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor to go into closed session. Those raise your hand. Go to closed session.
Oh,